Hey, can you think back to a time in your life when you were running and your legs were burning and you just fell down in agony? Now, for some of you, it's been decades. Others of you, you're in school right now and you're training for soccer or some other sport that involves a lot of running. I remember this time. This was terrible. In college, I was in like a fraternity kind of thing. And I ran. I was a runner, and so they picked me, but I was not like a good runner. I just ran, because I used to play soccer, but I wasn't like a real runner. I wasn't a marathoner or anything. And so I had to wear these huge boots and these huge overalls and run all the way around a 400-meter track. Well, I was like, skinny as a beanpole, did not have the strength to like carry these huge rubber boots. And oh my goodness, I remember when I got all the way around that track, just like collapsing, and crazy memories. Anyhow, we started Hebrews chapter 12 with this metaphor that you are running a race. From now until when you see Jesus face to face, you're running a race. The loved ones who've gone before you to heaven are cheering you on, as are the angels and other believers in heaven. And we saw early in chapter 12 that we all stumble and fall. Our knees get weak and tired. None of us can run a perfect race. So what do? We fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. And as we fix our eyes on his perfection, it will help us get up and keep running when people hurt us, when we're fatigued, when the present pain seems to outweigh the future reward. We just fix our eyes on Jesus. And then we learned about how our Father in heaven is a good disciplinarian. Now, what's interesting in this whole context is we're about to now return to the running analogy. So one way that some theologians interpret the part about the Father disciplining us is like a trainer. Have you ever heard of an athlete whose dad was their trainer? Steph Curry is an NBA great three-point shooter whose dad taught him how to shoot. And usually when you have a high-capacity athlete like that, if their dad trained them, there were some days when there were tears. It wasn't just easy, hey, we're going to train when you feel like it, and when you don't feel like it, we won't. Anyone who was a child prodigy at, golf or some skill had some kind of trainer where, it was difficult and it was grueling. And so we get this kind of bookend now in verse 12. It returns after viewing our Father as our disciplinarian and our trainer, returns to the race, the running, your athletic event spiritually. And it says this in verse 12, so in light of this trainer that you have in a perfect Father, take a new grip with your tired hands of the baton and strengthen your weak knees. Keep running. Verse 13, mark out a straight path. Do what God has called you to do with your life. And as Proverbs says, don't veer to the right or the left. One day at a time, we change the world by just doing the next right thing in the kingdom of God. And then listen to this. Mark out a straight path for your feet so that those who are weak and lame will not fall but become strong. So this is the visual if you've seen like a war movie and someone is shot and they're not dead but they're bleeding and their buddy puts their arm around them and they're like carrying them off the battlefield or away from the danger, and you get two guys on each side of the wounded guy. And you see this in sports events when someone gets wounded on the field, if they're able to hobble off. That's very much the visual here, that God's plan for you from now till when you meet Jesus, he's going to do everything that was promised here in chapter 12. But your job is not just for you to get across the finish line. Part of the reason that you need to throw off the sin that entangles, part of the reason you need to get up and keep going, even when people who've let you down would discourage you, is that you are surrounded by other believers. And they're all stumbling every day. They are weak. Some of them are literally lame here, it says. Like they can't run anymore. And so we pick them up and we carry them with us toward the finish line. That's why you've got to be in relationship with other believers. You've got to have godly men or women who know you. And when you fall down, you can text them and you can call them and you can say, I've stumbled today. Would you pick me up? Help me keep running the race. And then you'll have days where they text or call to you and say that, and you're having a good day and you say, yeah, I got you today, buddy. I'll carry you for today's leg of the race. Okay, so verse 12, take a new grip with your tired hands, strengthen your weak knees, mark out a straight path for your feet so that those who are weak and lame will not fall, but will become strong because of you and your faithfulness to the risen King. See you tomorrow.